delighted that you could spare a little time. You are the CEO and the founder of Emotive. It has to do with the neurogeneration. So the obvious question is, what is the neurogeneration in terms of your company?
Yes. So, well, my company is called Emotive, and what we are is a neuroinformatics company. So we create technologies, an entire ecosystem around non-invasive neurotech based on electroencephalography, so EEG for short. And what I often talk about is this whole new opportunity called its neurogeneration, which is this generation of humans that are living through a time where we are seeing a massive surge in new neurotechnologies that's going to allow us to augment and enhance the human brain in ways that has never been possible before. And I think it's a very exciting frontier that so many scientists and innovators and entrepreneurs are embarking on. We are just a small facet of it. We work on the non-invasive side, but there are so many other possibilities, and that's what is really exciting about the neurogeneration. We're going to be the last generation that is so detached from our brain, right? We don't know, so it's such an abstract enigma. And I think
it is true. It's the last frontier.
It really is, and it's an exciting one.
And what I love is when you said non-invasive, because that's certainly the future.
That there's a lot of great opportunities available with invasive neurotechnology. I think it's the holy grail if we get it right. But we're decades away, several decades away from really seeing any technology that will be used at scale in an invasive way. But non-invasive technologies, I think that will hit the mass adoption curve within the next 5 to 10 years, and that's very exciting. And that's everything from EEG to TDCS, TACS, and so a combination of measurement, neurostimulation, maybe even some of the work around imaging, like MRIs that are much more portable, or equivalents that are more portable. I think there are some really exciting frontiers that we're just on the cusp of right now.
I would love you to describe one of your products.
So at Emotive, we create, the most obvious thing is the headsets, which allows you to measure EEG signals from the brain. And traditionally, they're headsets that a technician will place onto the scalp. We've created versions that are a lot more portable and affordable. So they're wireless, and designed to be self-fitted by the user. So it takes a couple minutes to put on, and then you can start picking up pretty good EEG signals, and they stick pretty well to the head. So you can move around depending on the size of your head. If you put it on a young child around 7 or 8, probably still move around a little bit because their heads are too small. But if you're putting it on an athlete, they can run around the field and it will stay pretty stable on their head. And that's pretty exciting.
It is exciting. Do you sell them typically to labs or?
The primary market right now is the neuroscientific research market in 120 countries. And so we support a lot of different types of neuroscientific research, especially around contextual research. And we think that that's really the way to enable this field, because our brains are used in a myriad of different tasks, activities, experiences, and it's difficult to really study them properly if you don't have a lot of people looking at different contexts in
and validate
it.
Validate, yes. So what would you say is the future of your company? How do you see it going? In what direction?
We are one of the things that we're really excited about. So it depends. So we consider ourselves an ecosystem around neurotechnology. From a hardware standpoint, we will continue to see that evolve, and the devices will become more streamlined, more seamless, and hopefully the holy grail is to integrate them more seamlessly into everyday life. And so on the hardware front, I think that's the trajectory that we're trying to move towards. On the other hand, the algorithms are what really breathes life into this technology. If the algorithms can only do a very small number of things, like tell if you've got an epileptic seizure or you have a sleep disorder, then it's too limiting the application of uses. But if you can start to use it for brain-computer interface, if you can start to use it for workplace productivity, wellness, then you can start to see a larger pool of application and use cases. And that's where we have spent a lot of time, which is working on the algorithm so that it can be applied in a multitude of different contexts. And obviously we're aided by this really thriving neuroscientific research community that's always experimenting and finding new ways to use the technology. So that's very exciting for us. But for Emotive, the immediate future, we'd like to focus on the workplace,
Yes.
workplace productivity and wellness. So that's where we think that there's a lot of advantages in using non-invasive neurotechnology, and that's where we're spending a lot of energy and time.
You mentioned productivity. How do your devices
Measure that.
measure, yes, and help to improve?
So we specifically look at very simple paradigms like attention, distraction, fatigue, and in the context of productivity, this becomes very important. Knowing when someone is paying attention, whether it be in reskilling or retraining the workforce, which is a very big issue right now with automation and artificial intelligence, I think there's a big opportunity to really look at modalities that can help retrain the workforce in more effective ways. We can also look at things like fatigue and distraction, which is very important for industrial applications that can impact safety. So from the productivity standpoint, I think that's really important. The other spectrum of the productivity curve is wellness. So one of the areas that the World Health Organization has identified as being a big health epidemic for the 21st century is stress. We don't really know a lot about stress, but we know that we all experience a greater load of stress with this
Stress, yes.
always-on
Yes.
society. And so if we can start to objectively quantify stress
Yes.
And help people identify it early so that they can take interventions,
Yes.
then that can be take breaks, do meditation, spend more time in nature, spend more time relaxing and not working. That can help to counterbalance the need to always be on and always be connected that we have right now. And I think all of that can be a really good vantage point as we look at the workplace and how we can enhance productivity, but for a sustainable type of productivity, not just in terms of enhancing your ability to work longer and more, but it's understanding that humans are not machines, right? We need to be able to balance very productive, focused work with downtime where we can unwind, relax, and replenish our attentional networks, and that's very important.
Where did you start your company? And can you tell me maybe just a little bit about what brought you to this area of research
Sure.
and founding your company?
I've always loved the brain. I actually wanted to work in an area that I could spend the rest of my life focused on. And I didn't want to create something that I would sell and flip. I wanted to invest my life towards a lifelong endeavor that would be worthwhile. And the brain was something that fascinated me for a number of reasons. But we all are living much longer lives,
Yes.
and we need our brains more than ever.
Yes.
I don't want to be living to 100 if I don't have my mental faculties with me, right? I can't remember my friends. I can't code a coherent conversation. I really want to be able to use my brain.
Yeah.
So that means that we have a real responsibility to safeguard, to sustain, and enhance our brains if we want to really have it stand the test of time, because it's really not built to last 100 plus years.
Yes.
And so that's one of the reasons that really motivated me to start working in this space. And the other big motivation is that I really wanted to create a technology platform that would be democratizing. I am originally Vietnamese. I come from Vietnam. And
Oh,
yeah, and
yes.
Vietnam is
I was going to ask you about your background.
Yeah.
Yes.
I
Where?
grew up in-
Ho Chi Minh City?
in Ho Chi Minh City,
Yes.
and I left as a boat refugee from Vietnam in the early 80s.
Yes.
And we resettled in Australia. But coming back to my country of origin, I realized that there's so many people in this world who have lack of access, and we don't want to be leaving them behind.
No.
For me, inclusion is a really big part of what we do, and so helping people everywhere be co-creators of this new technology era is very important. Right? We don't want to just be a company that creates technologies that other people use, and it's a box that they can work from. We want it to be it's a tool that people can take and extend and co-create with us. And that makes the tool more powerful, but it also allows more people to co-invent with us, which is much more exciting and much more empowering.
And this brings me to my next question. So your research center started in Australia?
In fact, we started in 2011 in San Francisco, in the Bay Area,
Yes.
and I've been there since. But we also have a team in Sydney, Australia, and we also have a big team in Hanoi and Ho Chi Minh City as well. So
Fantastic.
it's great. You know, we
Yes.
straddle a few different places, which I think is really healthy for a company like ours, because it gives us a perspective, a different lens.
Yes.
The Bay
Yes.
Area, as amazing as it is, sometimes I feel like I live in a bubble where
It is.
we all think that
It is a
technology is
bubble.
going to solve all
Yeah.
problems, all
Yes.
the world's problems. But when you actually go to other parts of the world, you realize that there are a lot of things that people grapple with every day, and you've got to take yourself out
Yes.
of just the technological lens and take a bigger societal lens
Yes.
in order to really create transformative technologies that can make a positive influence on the world. It's not just about technology for technology's sake. It needs to be an enabler that
Yes.
empowers society, humanity. And to me, that's really where, at my heart's at, and the team is the same, which is great. It's great.
Well, in other words, let's not forget human beings.
That's right. At the end of the day, this is all in service of humans. That's the only future that we want to create, is one that humans live happy and healthy lives.
You know, I know your time is very limited, but please allow me another question. Do you partner with universities? Yes.
Absolutely. We
Yes.
love working with universities. We think that universities are really the place where new exploration happens. Right? The young, fresh minds, and also there's time to explore hard questions that often in a commercial enterprise you don't get
have
the opportunity to do that. And I think that's why we love working with universities and exploring some of these questions, much more fundamental questions of science and what's possible. And I think that's a must. Without it, we would be too
Narrow-minded?
narrow-minded and short-term facing. We need to broaden the lens.
Yes. And this seems to be a good time to collaborate, because
Best time.
the motto nowadays is to bring everything out of the lab and into the marketplace.
Exactly, and that's wonderful. The idea that the lab is no longer a place where you just do exploration. It's still a place for exploration, but because the cycles to markets is starting to shorten, there's a really unique vantage point now that we can bring to. It's an intersection point where we can bring enterprise together with academia to create compelling solutions that will benefit society. And I think that's amazing. And I love living in this era where we can actually do that.
So do I. I'm afraid our time is wrapping up. However, I wanted to give you a chance, if you can think of it. What would you like to add to this conversation that you'd like people to know about you or your company or your mission?
Well, I think that, one thing that I would like to add is that I think that our time on this earth is really short, each and every one of us. And I think that the biggest call to action for human beings is to do what we can to make the world a better place and to live our best lives. And I think for me, and especially for students, when I was your age, that's the thing that nagged me the most. Right? What am I going to do with my life that would make the most sense and that would be the most worthwhile and most meaningful? And I think that's the biggest question I'll leave you with, because you're all so bright. There's so much that you can do. The world is your oyster. It's really about how do you want to apply yourself. And that, to me, is the big question.
Thank you so much, Ton Lee of Emotiv. Thank you very much. Her talk in a little while will be about the neuro generation. Thank you so much, and I will be in touch with you.
Lovely. Thank you.
Thank you.